Are we on? Is this thing on? Hello, hello.
I know, right? It's
April
one of those
1st.
things. Good morning. How you doing, man?
No joking today, Steve, but that's funny that we didn't even know we were live. The live stream is
I know,
live.
I know. That's the joke. I think Alex been playing making us look a fool today.
Our producer, Alec Dinkoff. Let's put his name out there again. It
Yeah,
makes him
yeah,
cringe
yeah.
every time. But actually, Alec
Got
put
a,
a great article out on LinkedIn yesterday about the fact
yeah, I
that,
saw it.
listen, we don't need to be joking about April 1st, April Fool's Day. We got enough troubles in our life. So let's not add to the worries of the world. I think that's pretty wise advice. In fact, other people have said the same thing, including Seth Godin in his blog this morning, which was kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, I don't know how you keep up with all these blogs, man. I struggle bandwidth, but fair play to you. But one thing I did get to do this morning though, and it did make me smile. Listening to your podcast yesterday and hear you sing Billy Idol, and I'm
Oh,
like,
great, great.
man, I said, why can't we get him to sing Billy Idol on these daily streams? So,
Well,
but
you
yeah,
never know. You never know. I have to be
yeah,
in the right mood, but
I
that
know.
was an interview I recorded way before, the pandemic changed our lives. And we talked about it yesterday. I debated about
Yep.
content and putting out the weekly show and how to handle that. And I'm
I
glad
thought
I
I thought you
did.
handled it nicely, man. I thought you handled it nicely.
Thanks.
Very good, very good.
Thanks. Little setup just to tell people that this was
Yeah,
not recorded last week or even last month. It was a while ago, but it was relevant and it was inspiring. So workplaceinnovator.com, folks. If you're interested for something other than these live stream current event shows and conversations, there's some hopefully evergreen content that will hit you whenever you're in a mood for it and take your mind away from what's going on in the world. So that's what we're
yeah,
trying
no,
to do is
it
balance
certainly did
that.
that for me this morning. So thank you, thank you.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for
So a couple of
listening.
things. Yeah, no, and a couple of things I wanted to sort of touch base with you. I want to get your thoughts. So when we listen to the news, we talk about the apex, right? Everyone talks about the apex, and it always seems to be this shifting target, right? And I don't really understand why. Governor Cuomo mentioned yesterday, they're using five models, and that's why they give this range. But how
Yeah.
do you feel? What's your approach whenever you hear, it's 7 to 21 days? What goes through your state? How do you think about that?
Well, I like to know where that guess is coming from, what models they're using, and what assumptions they're using. I think it was Dr. Fauci who said, "Listen, all the models are great in some way, but they're also flawed because it's all about feeding in the assumptions. You can have the worst case scenario or the best case scenario." And he said it's usually something in between. But I trust at this point, I trust him and I trust the other experts who can look at those models and tell us the best course to make decisions. But they're dealing with imperfect information. Although you're starting to see patterns, I think time is the thing we have to wait for and see what the numbers look like. A week from now, a month from now, at the end of April 30th. But I wasn't surprised when they extended the 15-day
Yeah.
stay at home recommendation to another 30 days, and it'll likely go beyond. But I heard Dr. Fauci on another podcast this morning. I do consume a lot of stuff because I just enjoy it, and it's while I'm doing other things. So Dr. Sanjay Gupta has a
Mm.
podcast called Coronavirus Fact versus Fiction, and I've been listening to him since day one. He probably started the show 3 weeks ago. It's a daily show. Usually it's only about 5 or 10 minutes, but today's was 30 minutes of Dr. Fauci, an interview he did with Dr. Fauci. So they're longtime friends, and he's been around forever. And this is unprecedented. Where he's been in the business of infectious disease for 40 years, and we're facing something he's never seen before. But to hear his calming, steady voice, and he
Yeah.
is a data-driven guy, where he looks at the information and then dispassionately tells us the facts. Um, I like that. I think that's comforting to people, and especially in
Yeah.
today's world.
Yeah, yeah. No, it is, and I totally get it. I totally get it. And sort of we both talked about data yesterday, and I'm sure we'll continue to talk about data going forward. But one statistic I heard overnight was NYPD 15% of them are out sick at the moment. That's a
Is that
crazy
right?
number.
I had
That's a
not heard that.
crazy number. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's it's 15%. You go 15%. Well, it's a big police
That's
force,
a huge
but
number.
that's
Yeah,
that's 15%. That's families, households.
yeah. New
It's
York is
these
really
guys.
hit hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And those
Front
guys
line
again
front
reminds us of the boy the front lines of this battle, whether it's the
mhm.
first responders like police and fire and EMTs, but the nurses and we can't say it enough, the nurses and doctors and other healthcare practitioners that are leading this fight and putting themselves at risk and their families at risk. So we just have to thank them, daily,
Yeah.
and be appreciative of what they're doing. So it is
Yeah.
overwhelming to kind of comprehend, but New York is overwhelming. Every time I walk into that city, it's a lot of people in a very small place. And I've always enjoyed visiting New York. I don't know how you live there and how you work there on a day-to-day basis, but it's just how many people? 8 million? What's the population in New
Depends.
York?
I'm not entirely sure, and I'll probably get. I don't want to say a number because people will probably will show me wrong. Put it in the comments. Let us know. But
Yeah, it's a lot of people in
it's a
one
big city. It's
place,
a lot of
and that's
it's a lot of
why it's
people,
the
and
hot
then
spot it is.
there's
Yeah,
and then during the day it's even more because so many people travel to it for work. But the other thing is it's a resolute city, right? It is a very much a city that comes together, very
yeah,
much a city that sort of pulls. And I was a little bit late getting on with you guys this morning. As you know, I was actually on a work call with 50 other of my colleagues, and it was great. It was great to see everyone from around the world joining in, see their faces, seeing their different emotions, and everyone was talking about the Resolute. A lot of the talk was about how New York City every night at 7 p.m. it's outside that you can hear all these cheers, clapping, and everyone's
yeah.
coming together, and it's wonderful. And it's so good. It's so good.
That's great. And are people doing well as far as your colleagues at work? I'm curious to know, and that's the kind of the subject matter for my live stream later today on Workplace Innovator Interactive at noon. It's
Yeah,
going to be noon Eastern. I got to remember we're broadcast
yeah,
all over the place, but noon Eastern on Wednesdays, we have two health
yeah.
and well-being workplace specific workplace well-being experts coming up on the show today. And I just really want to get into that, mental health, mental well-being, personal side of things. How are we handling it personally? How are we handling it with our employees, with our teams? What did you see in those faces you saw this morning?
One, happiness, to be honest. It's
Oh,
just
good.
happiness in a sense to be seeing each other, that social interaction. It's a bit like I was later on, I got to see you guys again, and it was just great. You get that sort of connection. It's really good. It's really good. So, no, it was a lot of faces, a lot of really interesting virtual backgrounds that were ever evolving, which are great. And I'm sure at some point through this period, there will be a virtual background company that creates just these backgrounds for you to insert yourself into an actual background. So almost you feel like you're in the person, you're in that location. So who knows?
Yeah,
I wonder
use
who'll be the first to
technology.
create it. So
Totally. Share our
but it
personality.
was it was really good. It was really good.
Well, do you
Yeah,
know my
and
one of my guests? I hate to cut you off, but I
Rex
wanted to
Miller.
give a shout out to my guests who are coming up, Rex Miller and Carrie Weckelo.
Yeah,
So do you know Rex
yeah,
Miller, the
yeah.
healthy workplace
Yeah,
nudge?
actually, I have his book summarized on Open Source Workplace. So
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
you gotta let him know that it's up there, and we have it. Yep,
Well, let's
I
share a
know.
link to that in today's description, and
Yeah,
people can get a little preview before they hop on the live stream at noon later
yeah,
today. But
yeah.
but Rex, you know, his book was released about a year ago, maybe a little longer. About
Hmm.
what is the subtitle? How healthy people, culture, and buildings lead to high performance. So he had all this research, all these numbers. And listen, he was telling me, he was on my podcast, maybe it was a couple years ago now, that we are already facing a crisis in the workplace, stress and mental strain and just the physical uh, difficulty people are having balancing their lives. Work life balance is out the window. It's all about integration now. It never ends. Our lives are just one continuous stream of consuming information and delivering it to our employers and to others. So he had a lot of numbers 2 years ago that were frightening to me, and I'm really anxious to catch up with him today and do a webinar with him later this month where we really will dig into some of his latest research on that. So um, and just to give a shout out to Carrie. Carrie was a guest last week's show, episode 101. Carrie Weckelo. She wrote a book called Culture Infusion: 9 Principles to Create and Maintain a Thriving Organizational Culture. And she always, every one of her chapters tied in a well-being component. She has lots of inspirational quotes
Mm,
and also this idea of approaching things in a personal human being way, which is what I'm all about. It's like we're in the workplace. we're talking to FM and CRE leaders, but they're human beings who are having to take care of themselves and others. So it's a really important topic, and I'm thrilled to have them on.
Yeah, I was having a look to see if we've summarized that book. I don't think we have as yet, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We've got a long list of books, and shout out to Alec. Alec actually narrates the actual articles, and then we put it out on our podcast. So if you want to listen to Alec's very soothing voice, then you
Yes,
can go over to the podcast and enjoy
the
that.
dulcet tones of Alec
Yes, yes,
Didkoff. Check
yes.
it out, folks.
So one of the things I'd be curious to know. This is one of the things that I've noticed I'm struggling with,
Okay.
and I'm curious to see where your head is, and obviously as you do your stream later today, what sort of guidance that your guests provide. But I find that I come. We do this in the morning. I sit down for to go to work thereafter, and I literally don't move until like 8 p.m. at night. I maybe go to, the restroom, go to grab a drink or whatever it is, but I don't allow myself to come away and recharge. And a lot of it is it's not a bad thing per se, but again, it's how to it's something I'm trying to consciously work on. How do I get up, move away, allow myself to take those breaks, allow myself to recharge through the day? Because although I can look at my day today and it doesn't look too bad, I know what the day's going to unfold to be.
Oh, sure.
But I don't know whether you're experiencing the same, and some things that you maybe tactics you may be using to mitigate some of
Yeah,
that.
it's funny you say that. Since this whole quarantine, lockdown, however you want to call it, came into being, I've always been a work from home remote guy. So I used to always have my home office and then the rest of my house. And it never was a problem. I do my work in my home office. Similarly, you, I'd have moments of just steady hours at the desk doing podcast editing or what have you, conference calls, interviews. But these days, I've kind of spread out. I feel bad for my wife a little bit. I've spread out all over the house. I've got different locations. I've got the basement here where I do these broadcasts. I've got my office upstairs. So I'm blessed with a lot of space within my particular domain here. So I do try to keep changing up the setting. In fact, there are a couple comments on some of the Zoom calls with my colleagues down in Houston. They're like, "You're not sitting in the same place you were last time we were on." I'm like, "I'll sit in the kitchen or I'll sit in the living room or
Mm,
wherever, just to kind of break it up because I think that's important, and
yeah,
especially for someone like you and me who are used to traveling and spending time out of the office and interacting with people. It's a challenge. It's going to be interesting to hear what the experts have to say, but I just know I need to do that. I need to find ways to continue to connect with folks. Again, phone calls. I'll still do the walk around the block with my
yeah,
AirPods in, whether I'm listening to a podcast or talking to someone. And I think that's important if you can get outside, especially now that the weather's getting nice.
mhm,
Maintain your distance because a lot of your neighbors are probably out there too, but
yeah,
definitely get that fresh air. Uh, don't get stuck in that one spot, where you just it's easy to do.
yeah.
I can appreciate what you're talking about there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm usually really disciplined. So when I'm in the office, I'll get in at the same time every day. I will always 90% of the time go and get outside for 30 minutes, walk to grab something to eat, walk back, whatever it is, and then I leave the office at the same time because I have a train schedule. Therefore, I get the chance to sit down, relax, and do whatever, right? But now the time is just all consumed. And again, this isn't really I'm not complaining, right? It's just let's not miss mistake what
Yeah,
this is. This is trying to. If I'm thinking this, I have to assume that anyone listening to this is thinking the same and
absolutely.
going through the same process. And I'd love to hear, comments, whether you're watching us live, whether you're watching us afterwards. Let us know what are the things that you're experiencing that you find difficult that we could talk about here. But also, if there are tactics or things or solutions that you find that you may think the audience may be interested to know, let us know. And, you can email us at oswdaily@gmail.com or put a comment on YouTube or LinkedIn. And we seem to be a lot of comments on LinkedIn, very little.
Yeah.
YouTube's a very private community, obviously very introverted, but we do get comments on our other social channels. So,
Well,
but
unless you're trying to get to sleep. Remember yesterday, we got to go to those deep sleep
yeah,
music channels and just chat with those folks.
that's true.
But I think
That's
you're
true.
right. I think that everybody has a story. Everybody's different. This was
Yeah.
I was getting into. before the pandemic kind of, sidetracked a lot of the conversations we were having. I think we alluded to this too. And in my normal routine, I was heading more towards this discussion about workplace, about productivity, about the war for talent and the need to give people what they want to make them come to an organization. So, our workplace leaders have this incredible opportunity. And I believe this is going to continue to be even more essential in the future, whatever our new normal looks like, is meeting the needs of the people, making them comfortable, putting them in their best place so they could be their most productive, best selves. Health and well-being is a key part of that. We started to discuss a lot of those things, and a lot of it was not, it was, there was a conversation for a couple of years around the generations. The
Yeah.
millennials want
Yep.
this, and the
Yep.
and
Yep.
the boomers want this, and they're totally different. Well, I found that it was more about people. And the more I talk to researchers who are really digging into this, there are so many great workplace researchers, experts who have done the work to find out what's really going on. It's more about our personality. It's about how we process information, how we do our work, what type of work we're doing. Activity-based working was huge and will continue to be. Finding the right space for the right work, and especially in the office setting, we need to find those points of appropriateness, I guess is the word, but it's
Yeah.
it's all about the people. And now we're going to add this layer on top. And there's some great new articles. I can't read them all. I have bandwidth limitations too, Steve, but I'm going to point you to some in the coming days. HOK architects, Kay
Mm.
Sargent and
Mhm.
others there are just doing some brilliant work as far as their
Yeah.
workplace practice. And they put a series of articles out. I think you just go HOK workplace series. It's all about, making it through this coronavirus pandemic. They've got 5 parts out there so far. First, it was about remote working. Then it's about what are going to be the future takeaways for the workplace, lessons learned in the construction market. And then today's I haven't read yet, but design strategies for work and life following COVID-19. I mean, how tantalizing is that article, and
Mm.
something I really have been asking a lot about. And I don't think it's too early to ask. I know it's going to be a long time till we get beyond this and get back to the built environment, back to our offices. But it's about now, especially for our audience of FM and workplace leaders. It's about what will they need to be dealing with when they get back into the built environment, back into the physical space, and helping
Yeah.
people do that.
No, definitely, take a look. That'll be interesting. Curious to see what their, thoughts are and how the workforce or workplace will change. How much how increasing will flexibility play into leadership's viewpoint, right? I did listen to another podcast this morning, Cushing Wakefield, Rebalancing Work-Life Balance. I
Hmm.
put a link in the description below. And they were talking about some of the statistics on, how people perform productivity increases when they have the flexibility. So at the
Right.
moment we're going through this, it's not really a work from home, it's a pandemic work from home. So it's not real true work from home environment, because to your point and things that sort of people have been mentioning, it's we're working from home, but the kids are there, the dog's there, the cat's there, the other family members are there, and everyone's trying to be in the same space to do whatever it is they have to do. And it's a challenge. It's not really a true analysis of work from home. I think what this shows is actually is as humans how flexible we are, how organization, how fluid we can be, how we adapt quickly to changes in the environment. And I suspect, I know what I've witnessed, and I'm sure you're witnessing the same. And it'd be interesting to hear other people's perspective. Is organizations continue, people continue to do the job and deliver what's required.
Yeah.
But what's going to be interesting, and again, I can't wait to read the actual article. So, how do how does a design company see this change? Are they predicting or projecting changes based on some of the feedback they ever receive from their customers or the construction market? Really, really curious. So, we should take a read and touch on that tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I want to know what they're thinking, and certainly they don't have all the answers, I'm sure. And it's
Of
going to
course,
be
of course.
interesting to see how it all plays out. But the other thing I'll take, kind of combine the two things I read this morning with the Dr. Fauci interview. He alluded to it briefly, but didn't really dive into it. I'm sure we will. But going back to whatever the new normal is, whether that's life at work, life at just interacting with others back once the pandemic is behind us. And again, it will be behind us. That's the other big message I want to make sure we send, because those
Hmm.
folks out there who, it's very easy to kind of get caught up in the daily news cycle and the projecting out and worry and anxiety. And please try to stay in the moment. Just take it day by day. We will get through this. It's going to be a different world on the other side of this, but there's going to be some silver linings. We're going to be uh, better in some ways. Certainly, we do not look forward to the loss of life and health that we've seen in our friends and family. I'm sure everybody will be touched by this if they haven't been already in some way, shape, or form. But we're a resilient people, as you said, Steve. New Yorkers are resilient. The American people, when push comes to shove, we've been through a lot. And Dr. Fauci said there will be some maybe subliminal, he called it, post-traumatic stress disorder, or whatever you want to call it,
Mm.
going back into the world, because you're always going to be heightened in your awareness now, those who weren't before, about the possibility of being infected with anything, whether it's this coronavirus or something new. So how do we help people through that? Because that's another angle of this. You want people to be comfortable and productive. And I know we'll get back to, our brains are designed to help us deal with tragedy, deal with difficulty, and then process that and then forget it. Thankfully, there's kind of a short-term memory switch. If you've ever been through, I'm sure you have, tragic times or difficulties. We all have in certainly some collective way. Through 9/11, we alluded to last week. So there's some similarities there, but certainly differences in this, because it's going to be an ongoing threat. But that was also the case with 9/11. There was an ongoing threat of the next terrorist attack. So I think we're going to
Right.
learn a lot about people and helping them cope with things and manage things by giving them as much comfort and control as possible. But you and I both know, how do you deal with this? Because I know that there are things in life you just can't control, right? So you have
Yeah.
to deal with those things and manage anxiety and worry. Do you want to get on the couch here with me, Steve? And
Sure,
I'll
man.
be
Of
the
course, of course.
therapist here and just ask you, how you deal with it,
No, I'm happy to
because the worries
share.
can get us down.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, and I know you didn't know I did this, but I actually put a link in the description to a meditation book that I've been working my way through. It I use the audiobook, and I'm going to misquote it, so
Yeah,
I
pull
don't
it up
want
just
to.
so we get
I
the
don't
right.
want to. Yeah, um, bear
Have
with
you been
me
a
2
practitioner of meditation
seconds.
in the past, or is
A
this a
little
new thing
bit,
for
a
you?
little bit, a little bit. It's called Stress Less, Accomplish More by Emily Fletcher, and there's a link
Stress
below.
less.
Accomplish
Because you
More.
dropped out there for a second. Stress less, accomplish more.
Yeah, it's and also
Okay.
for my tongue, it's really hard. Stress less because my accent, the way my tongue rolls,
Well, we'll
whenever
blame
something
the
it just
internet for
it
the
just
little
comes out.
blip
There
that
you
you
go.
said. Yeah.
I appreciate that. But in essence, this is a meditation where you take 15 minutes twice per day. I do it when I get up in the morning, and I try to do it in sometime during the afternoon. And it just helps the body relax. And it's a little different to what I'd done before. I try to listen to apps, and apps are good, but you never get to that real deep relaxation where this strategy is what Emily's trying to portray and put through. So I do that. I do it when I get up
Yeah.
in the morning, and it's a combination of that brain working, trying to you know, you have a phrase, you keep repeating the phrase while your body relaxes. And
Right.
what I experience in that is that almost like another section of my brain opens up. And while my body's going into deep relaxation, my brain's kind of working harder. It's really hard to explain, but I find it really relaxing. I find it once I come out of it very calm. And then the other things that I do to sort of maintain some of these things is I always have a daily shake. So drink, not a body shake, but a drink
Okay.
full of nutrients. So those are the sort of things that I try to do to keep myself appeased, with various supplements in there to sort of keep me going.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
yourself? What do you do? You must have tactics.
Oh,
You're
sure.
always very calming. And what do you do?
Uh, well, I tried an app with the Calm app. Have you heard of
Mhm.
Calm? And they want $69 from me to hear
Oh wow.
Matthew McConaughey read me a good night story. All
Try
right,
try
all right, all right. Let's go to sleep now. This is Matthew McConaughey. All
Well,
right.
I'm
I
not
was
sure
like,
he wants you to sleep. He just wants you to look at his body, right? Every movie he's in, he just has to find some excuse to take his shirt off, you know?
I'll tell you what,
But,
and I'm going to cancel that. I tried it for a week, but it's coming up on being canceled before the
yeah,
$69
try
hits. But
try, brain.fm.
brain dot FM.
Brain.fm. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically,
I
there's
tell you what.
different,
Yeah.
levels of, if you wanna get, focus, there's focus section, there's a nap section, there's a meditation section in it, and it's free, I believe, and I think there's a paid subscription where you get access to a lot more, able to download and all the rest of it. But sorry, I interrupted you. I just thought I'd throw
No,
that
I
in
was going
there.
to say those techniques are good. And the one thing the Calm app did is every time you launch it, it says, breathe, take a moment to breathe and just take a
Yeah,
deep breath or something like that, which is
yeah,
something we
yeah,
all just forget to do, right? As we get into this kind of frantic shortness of breath and taking some deep breaths. There's some techniques. Again, I'm no health and well-being expert, folks, and I am the one who struggles with eating right. I've the only shakes I've had are milkshakes from Chick-fil-A. So I think Steve could teach me a lot, but I have been more mindful and more careful about the food I eat, and because I am prone to, you know, comfort eating, as I think I mentioned before. So you got to be careful if that's your habit or if that's your happy place. Finding
yeah.
some comfort food, it could be real dangerous, and trying to keep that under control. So I've done a better job in recent months before this whole situation unfolded. But over the years, I've certainly dealt with anxiety or a feeling of overwhelmness when you have a lot of responsibility and a family and work and things like that. So I've always been a person who leans on his faith, and I lean on my trust in things that I can't control, that I believe that God is in control. And so that there's a peace of mind that comes from that, and
Mhm.
there's peace that comes from reading my Bible and Scripture. But these techniques about the way our bodies are in need of nutrition and breathing exercise and exercise overall. I mean, running is a key for me. So I'm not going to be one out running a marathon, but if I run 3 miles, 4 miles on a really good day, I feel so much better afterward. My blood
Mhm.
pressure goes down. Everything is good. So that is a key during these difficult times, is to continue to be active and to continue to also I thrive on these human connections. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad we're doing this each day. This is something that gets my day started. I can't say it enough. Thank you, Steve, for inviting me to be a part of this live stream with you. It helps me wake my brain up and get going, and it puts a smile on my face in otherwise difficult times.
Yeah, it's, I don't know how you find your mornings are now. So I used to have that relaxation morning, take what I want, do a little bit of work in open source workplace. But now that we're doing this, it's like my brain kind of changes the programming. Okay, I got to find stuff to talk about today. I got to find things to do in the sense of what are we going to be, what are we, you and I going to be talking about? What's interesting, you know? I want to touch on it tomorrow. And sort of maybe this will be a teaser or whatever it is. But
Yeah, I love it.
as we go through everything that we're going through today, is this the time where Amazon will bring drones to deliver our packages? And would people prefer drones to deliver packages given some of the issues that people may face? You know,
Interesting
so it's
question.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So maybe we can touch on that
All
tomorrow.
technologies. What other
Yeah.
technologies will impact our lives and also our workplaces, right? I know that one of the things that the workplace is famous for is lagging behind in technology, the gap. You've got your personal
Yeah,
technology, we've got our phones, we've got all these apps that allow us to do some great things. You walk into your workplace, and in many ways, there's a huge drop off in
yeah.
the ability to interact, order things, communicate. So I'm excited to see if this situation forces employers, workplaces to, maybe start really enacting some of the capabilities. Voice. We use Alexa. I don't think it's super accurate, but Siri, Alexa, there's still a long way to go with that AI and voice recognition. But boy, we're close to really using it for a lot of things in our personal lives pretty
Hmm.
effectively. What about the workplace? If
Yeah.
we're going to want to touch fewer surfaces that may put us at risk,
Yeah.
voice may be a way to ease those people's worries, ease our employees' worries in the workplace, and just kind of give them the option to
So
to do
are
that.
you an Alexa at home guy or? What do you?
Yeah, I have an Alexa at home, but I also all my products are Apple. I'm an Apple, an iPhone, you know, Apple iPad. So I'm all over the place with technology, but I've tried with limited success to use voice. Are you a successful
Mm.
voice dictator when it comes to text or
Nah, not
email?
really. Not
Yeah,
really. No, no, it hasn't really. Haven't really got there yet. I think it's probably because of my silly accent. It's been all over the place, and I say different words in different ways. So I don't think Siri or Alexa or anybody really knows what I'm doing, or
that's
what I'm
great.
saying. You know, it's difficult for humans to interpret what I'm saying half
Yeah,
the
I was going
time.
to
You know
say,
what I mean? So,
even with our
but,
emotional IQ, it's hard to do.
it is, it is, it is. But as we wrap up here, thanks again, and anybody who's watching, you know, please do just subscribe to the channel. Let your comments, questions that you have for us, things that you want us to discuss. How can we be of service? Because that's the sort of spirit where Mike and I both come from.
Absolutely.
You know, and this isn't where this is two guys who love this industry, who want to give back to the industry, who want to really help people go through what it is we're going through at the moment. You know, we're all in this
Yeah,
together, and we want to chat about things that sort of people want to talk about. So so do comment, and you know, even when you're on YouTube, you can comment even when we're not doing a live stream. We will read, we will comment, we will
absolutely.
get back to you. All right. So so thanks, Mike, and have a great
Cheers.
day and chat
See you
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Cheers, mate.
Alrighty.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.